Right.
Hi, buddies. Give folks a second to join us. See some familiar friends and some new friends in the attendee list. You'll notice, buddies, as you're coming in, that you have all been muted. All of the participants in this webinar have been muted, but that does not mean that you can't communicate with us. The Q&A box is your friend. You can use the Q&A box to send any questions our way as we go through the webinar. There is a massive truck passing by my house. There it goes. Sorry about that. Yeah, so use the Q&A box as we go along just to make sure everyone has boarded the right flight. This is the webinar from National New Play Network for getting the most out of the New Play Exchange for readers and organizations. So hopefully that is what you're here to do today. And I talked about the chat or the Q&A. We also have the chat function, which if you want to send a note to me and to Gwydion, you can use the all panelists. If there's something that you are so excited about that you want to shout about it to the whole room, you can click the caret on that blue box in the chat and make sure it goes to all panelists and attendees if there's something that you'd like to share with the class. With that, I think that is all of our housekeeping, other than to just welcome you and thank you for spending your time with us today. I don't think I said who I am. I'm Jess Hutchinson. I'm the engagement manager with National New Play Network, and it is my my pleasure and my delight to turn the floor over to Gwydion Sullivan.
Hello, friends. How are you? Oh, I better lower this just a little bit so you can see all of my long forehead. Hi, it's good to see at least the list of names that are here attending today's session. I'm glad to see that you're here. My name is so much easier than it looks like it is. My name is Gwydion Sullivan. The last name is just pronounced Sullivan. It's just the Irish spelling. First name so much easier than it looks. I am the project director for the New Play Exchange for NNPN. I like to think of myself as the chief architect and evangelist because I do a lot of these sessions where I sort of tell people about the greatness that is New Play Exchange, and I listen to what the field tells me about what it needs to be and then help the development team build the thing. So that's who I am. The pronouns I use, I'm going to teach you all a little thing. If you all go to your little box in the upper right-hand corner next time you're in Zoom, you can click the three dots and then the rename button, and then you can put your pronouns next to your name, and it makes Zoom more welcoming for everybody. So there you go. I've just added my pronouns, which are he and him. Okay, so I am going to give a bit of a presentation today about how you can maximize and get the most out of the New Play Exchange if you have either a reader or an organization subscription. And then I'm going to take any questions that have come from you all along the way. You just drop those, as Jess said, in the Q&A, and then I will answer them live on the air. I will take your calls and do my best to answer them as well as I can. So let's see, without any further ado, I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation. We're going to switch from PowerPoint to the actual live New Play Exchange and then back to the PowerPoint for a few last slides to get us through. Okay, so I always start with sort of setting the ground with what the New Play Exchange is, because it's a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but at its heart, it's very simple. It's just the world's largest digital library of scripts by living writers. However, that's a description of the technology, not of the mission. And the mission is really to serve the common good of everyone who works in the New Play sector. It's not a site for writers. It's not a site for producers, for artists, for educators, it's for everybody. It has to work equally well for everybody, or in fact, it doesn't work at all. So I am going to be here to tell you how it can work for you, but also I'm here to answer any questions about how it works for anyone else as well. Okay, so why did we build this thing? We built this thing at the root because there's always been in the theater this sort of struggle. There's people who write scripts on the one hand and people who want scripts on the other hand. And by the way, it's not a false binary. You can be on both sides, and I'm on both sides. So it's, you know, certainly sometimes you're on one side and sometimes you're the other. And for like 100 years, all we ever had was one technology to connect one side of that circle with the other side. And it was the submission process. And that's it. It was writers just madly trying to get their work in front of the right people and into the right inboxes and make sure the right folks cared about it. And the people on the other side were like, whoa, slow down. This is too much. I can't handle it. And they would close their submissions and they would set up submission windows and make sure you had to have the right credentials to get in. And it really, ultimately, the system broke down. Kind of lives on as a sort of zombie process, but it's not really a useful process to anyone anymore. It doesn't really, it's more noise than signal. So we decided that that analog technology needed a digital upgrade, and that's the new play exchange. And that's really what it is this neutral territory. It's this one shared space where writers can go to talk about themselves and to share their scripts, and where anyone can go to learn about those writers and find those scripts, and where everyone can connect in kind of a safe space. Takes all that anxiety, all of that noise, and reduces it as much as possible to signal, to making it useful. So we can focus on things that are more creative and more meaningful to us, like collaborating and working with each other, instead of trying to play this game and beat this game of getting our work in front of people and getting the work that we want in front of us. Okay, so the nuts and bolts, the numbers, the raw numbers, as of literally minutes before this presentation, when I updated these numbers, there are more than 34,000 scripts in the New Play Exchange. These are by 8,400 writers. That's about the same size as the membership of the Dramatists Guild of America, for those of you who know that organization. Those writers live in all 50 states and about 30 different countries, and the scripts are mostly in English, but they're in Korean, they're in Spanish, and the numbers there are growing. There are 11,500 people who who subscribe to the New Play Exchange as readers. And that includes a lot of different kinds of people: literary managers, dramaturgs, producers, artistic directors, actors, designers, people who just like to read plays, agents, publishers, everyone who, for any reason, wants to learn about writers and learn about plays. There's 820 plus theaters and new play development organizations. People ask a lot, like, yeah, but who is it? The first thing is, it's all of the member theaters of NNPN. So these are the 125-ish most important new play producing theaters in the United States, which is great. But it's really organizations as large as the Lincoln Center, which has a subscription, to as small as a Chicago storefront theater, or a small playwrights collective, or a one-person show sort of theater. It's theaters of all sizes. There are also now 50 colleges and universities that have subscriptions, and those subscriptions give access to our library to more than 400,000 students all over the United States. And those last two numbers are growing pretty fast. In fact, if you're connected to any school in any way and you are interested in learning more about that, let me know, because we're trying to help as many schools as we can deal with the remote learning situations that they find themselves in right now. Okay, so that is the update on the sort of intro. Now I'm going to take you into, I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I am going to take you into the New Play Exchange itself. Can you all see? Raise your hand, please, or indicate, or Jess, maybe you can tell me if you can see the New Play Exchange at the moment.
Sure can. Yep.
Yay. Okay, great. So I am now logged into the new Play Exchange as Jess. I'm pretending I'm her, but I could never live up to that idea. And I want to sort of walk you through several pages of the new Play Exchange and make sure that you know about what's here and make sure you understand what's here and how you can make the most of these things. So I'm starting here with the dashboard. This is the homepage dashboard of the new Play Exchange. Parts of it change all the time, like every 15 minutes. Parts of it change every day, and parts of it change every 2 weeks. And I'm going to start with the things that change every 15 minutes. And that's this recently recommended section that you see here. Basically, these are the 4 most recent recommendations that have been written about plays. If someone writes another one, I think it updates every 15 minutes and refreshes and only it shows the 4 most recent ones. So people ask a lot, how do I get on the new Play Exchange? Well, it's built to reward generosity. If you want to be on the new Play Exchange homepage, you just recommend somebody's play and your name will be there for at least 15 minutes, if not longer. It's quite simple. We want to reward people for doing right by each other. So that's what we're doing. We want to show off what's exciting to the world. Along the right side, you'll see featured writer, featured play, featured reader, and featured organization. These things update every 24 hours, and they're totally random. We don't pick them. Our system just sort of randomly selects people and puts them on the homepage. So we sometimes get questioned, how can I get featured? Well, it's, fate. You have to maybe, learn how to hack us. Please don't hack us. Or just, cross your fingers or do whatever you do to make good things happen. That's how that stuff gets there. And then we have this where it says young adult plays, which is what we call our featured list. This updates every 2 weeks. It's currently, as it may seem obvious, a list of plays written for young adults. It was curated for us by a user named Donna Gordon. We update this every 2 weeks. And honestly, we are open to suggestions for featured lists from anyone. We are currently booked with featured lists until September. There's always quite a backlog of them. But if you have an idea of a list of plays that you think go together or that need to be surfaced or found in some way and introduced to the world, all you need to do is email me with your idea and we can talk about it. I'm not going to say that it's an automatic yes, but pretty much I find a way to make it work with almost anybody. So email me. You'll have my email address at the end of this presentation and we can absolutely talk about it. This is really about everybody's voice contributing to making the experience rich for us all. So please, I'm sincere in saying, reach out to me. And then lastly, there's this, the NPX index, which is sort of, it's like the Harper's index. It's a little insight into the data of the new Play Exchange in various ways we end up having fun sort of looking at what's in the database. So the thing I want to say to you, other than write recommendations to get on the homepage, and by the way, when you write them, contact the users you wrote them about, whose plays you wrote them about, and write them. You can use the contact button on the writer's profile and just send them an email saying, hey, just want to let you know, I just recommended your play on the new Play Exchange. Tag them on social media, and say something nice about them. Just spread the joy, spread the love. So other than writing recommendations to get on the homepage and reaching out to us about doing a featured list, I want to give you a sort of semi-obvious piece of advice. We all use a browser. We all start our browser at the beginning of the day with a number of startup pages. More and more we are hearing from people in your positions that they make the homepage of the new Play Exchange one of their browser startup pages. It's like tuning into your favorite radio station, right? You never know what you're going to be surprised by. A new featured list, a new featured writer, a new featured play that looks interesting. It keeps you, surrounded by this sense that there's new and exciting things happening all the time, and there's synchronicity and discoveries to be had. We have artistic directors tell us, like we had one tell me not that long ago, make my coffee, I sit at my desk, and I open my browser, and it opens my email and the New York Times and CNN and the New Play Exchange. And that's it. That's how I start my day, with my coffee. I scan those 4 sites and I see what I need to see. And then I feel connected to my community. So that's the first sort of perhaps novel piece of advice that I want to give you. Okay. Next, I'm going to take you to Jess's profile. Make sure that you know how to make the most of this. Essentially, your profile in the New Play Exchange, if you have a Reader Pro subscription, is it's like a permanent job application. It is the world's way of learning about you, and it's more friendly than LinkedIn. It's more used by the people you care about in the theater industry. It's your way of sort of advertising who you are. It's your way of saying, this is how I think, this is what I care about, this is what I value, this is the work I've done. So you want to keep this up to date. You want to update it at least once a year. And the easiest thing to do is just set an appointment in your calendar to recur every year on, say, January 1st to start the year off right. And you make sure, hey, you know what? My bio is a little out of date, or I found a typo, or I've got a new website, or I want to change my Twitter handle, or, you know, just make sure that it is always accurate and always representing who you are. You know, oh, I've got a new gig to add to my bio. You just want to keep it fresh and keep it lively. I'm also going to click this edit button. And I'm going to show you one thing in the edit settings. Under contact settings, you really want to do 2 things. You want to click this box, yes, that says next to personal contact form. That allows other users in the New Play Exchange to reach out to you if they want to work with you, if they're interested in something you had to say. It's, you know, yes, it means that anyone who's a member can email you. And for some people, that's a concern. But for most of us, it's just a way of saying, hey, world, I want to collaborate. I want to be part of the New Play sector. And then you really want to check yes under receive updates from the New Play Exchange. We send you maybe 2 emails a year. It says 2 to 4, but we're just kind of making sure that if things happen, we can not feel bad about emailing you a few other times. But when we release new features, new things you want to take advantage of, you want us to be able to email you and let you know. So please say yes. Please actively log in and say yes. I'm going to scroll down and show you this little button here under Artistic Profile. If you check it next to Available for Freelance Dramaturgy, that means that you come up in searches as someone who is available to be hired for a dramaturgy gig. So if you want that, and maybe you don't, but if you do, make sure that box is checked, and I'll show you later how that works. This is only available with the Reader Pro subscription. So those of you who have just a Reader subscription and you're interested in this feature, you need to go to the billing page under your profile tab and upgrade to Reader Pro. It's literally $2 more a year. $2 a year. So it's worth it. It's worth it to have access to the full range of features available to you. I then also want to make sure that you select your location. This isn't going to come into play all that often, but we find that there are certain people who are always looking for collaborators in certain regions. So if you live in a given state, you want anyone who is in that state, if you want to be contacted for potential collaborations, you want them to know that you're there. So make sure that your location and your demographics are up to date. It's useful to you to do that. Okay, so I want to make sure that you see that upgrade. Oh, sorry. I want to make sure that you see what the search looks like, what I just mentioned, so that you can show off, so that you can see what it looks like when people look for dramaturg. So if you go to people search, which I went under search to people, You can look people up by name. I can look myself up, and there I am. Woohoo, look at that great picture. But you can also look for writers that you might be interested in collaborating with if you're looking for writers of certain types that you want to reach out to about projects. Let's say you live in Illinois, and you're working on a project, and you're trying to find Illinois writers. You can select writers. In fact, if you're only looking for librettists, you can look for librettists. There aren't any named Gwydion, so I'm going to take that out of the search field. Look at all the librettists in the database, and now if you say, well, I want librettists in the United States. I want them in the state of, what did I say just was, Illinois. So now you have a list of librettists in Illinois that you can find if you're looking to access them for any given project. Let's say you're a theater and you're just looking for dramaturgs available for freelance work. These are the dramaturgs available for freelance work in the state of Illinois. In fact, I see one person who I saw in this meeting, Anne-Marie Dittman. I think I saw you on the list of attendees. So this is amazing. It's the easiest way ever in the field for people to find people to work with. Spectacular, and we're very excited about it. Okay. Next, I want to make sure, this is only available, by the way, if you have a Reader Pro subscription. So you want to upgrade. $2 a year, $2. Okay, let us look at the play search, because I want to make sure that everyone has seen the incredible array of filters that are now available to those of you who are looking for plays for whatever reasons you might be looking for them. I'm going to start with the 5 filter sets, and then I'm going to show you the sorting tool. If you've never seen this before, and I assume all of you have, I'm just going to put one letter into the search box, and instantly I put the letter Q in. You can see every play that has Q in the title, and every play or every script that has Q in the title, and every author of every script who has Q in their name. And it just happened like that. So you can then sort those results by the length of the script, the age of the intended audience for the script, by the genre, by subject matter keywords, which no one uses that much, but everyone gets hung up on, by production history, whether the play has been produced at all. I keep saying play, I mean script, because there's musicals here too. Whether the full draft of the script is available for download. About 90% of our users do include full drafts. The ones that don't, typically it's because they've gotten bad advice or because they've been published, in which case there's usually a link to the published version of the script. So you can use all of those tools to sort your results. See, if I'm just going to show the ones that are 60 to 90 minutes, immediately the results update on the left of the screen. So I'm going to uncheck that box, close that filter set. You can sort by actors, and it's not just I want a play with a cast size from 2 to 6, for example. You can also say I want to play with at least one role for a Latinx man. And now you immediately have all the results. And by the way, I also have in my ensemble, I'm going to add another actor. I want a play that has a role for an African-American woman. So now you have all of the plays in the database that have roles specifically for people who meet those criteria. You know, it's incredibly easy to find whatever script will suit the needs of whatever ensemble you have in front of you. I'm going to delete all these filters so that go back to the full result set. You can find plays that center different groups of characters, right? So it's one thing to say, well, this play has, or this script has roles for 3 African-American people, but if they're not at the center of the story, it's not the same thing. So we give you the ability to filter your results by plays that truly center, say, characters of color in their storytelling. We give you the ability to find plays. So it's one thing to look for plays that have roles for specific actors. It's another thing to find plays that tell the stories of certain kinds of characters, right? So if you want to find say a Nigerian character or any specific criteria you want to use, you can sort plays by those results as well. Then, of course, you can also use the demographics of the writers in question. So if you're looking for work by, say, non-binary authors who are also Asian and Pacific Islanders, and also have the letter Q in the title, we shrunk those results down pretty fast. But you can use any parameters you want, gender, race and ethnicity, sexual identity, and of course, location. So again, here's where you can look for those writers who are in a specific state or a specific country to try and find what you're looking for. I also want to show off this button down here on the lower right, the Save This Search button. So this is a thing, again, you only have access to if you have a Reader Pro subscription, and it's pretty cool. Let's say I was obsessed with plays that have a Q in the title. I could save this search, which I'm currently saving in Jess's. Oh, I've clearly caused an error because I've done too much clicking and unclicking. I won't try and recreate everything I've just done to spare you that, but you can save any search, and then whenever a new play is added to the database that meets all of your specific criteria, you'll get a little email about it. So if you're really always on the hunt for, say, sci-fi plays that are 10 minutes or less for a specific diverse set of actors, and you want to know when new things are added, you can make it so that you find out, immediately when a new play is added that meets those criteria. And then lastly, I want to show you the ability to sort results. Again, you can sort, they're automatically sorted by title, but if you would rather sort by last name, you can do that. You can sort by cast size from lowest to smallest. And you can also sort results by the, the most recommended plays to the least. I love to do this search with the Q because the first result is Babel by Jacqueline Goldfinger, which has 50 recommendations in the New Play Exchange. It's a huge number, but it's an amazing script. So that is the search in all of its awesome permutations. I want to show off, I want to go briefly to a play. I guess I'll pick Babel and show you one feature that people sort of don't pay enough attention to. It's this ability down here at the bottom on any given play page for you to record your own private notes about a play. So as you're working in the theater and you have a job at one place and you're reading scripts for that place and you have your coverage and your thoughts about a particular play, you can record those. And as long as you have a New Play Exchange membership, those stay with you forever. That's your intellectual property. No matter where you go in the theater, from job to job or gig to gig, you always get to maintain your own library of thoughts. And you can always refer to them and look them up. You'll always have access to them. It's sort of like your own digital filing cabinet. And so we want to make sure everyone knows that it's there. Okay. Oh, and one other thing I want to say about when you're looking at plays, it all happens privately. No one knows what you are reading or what you are considering or what you've downloaded. We don't track any of that. We're not the NSA. Your browsing behavior is your own private browsing behavior, right? So if you're worried at all about whether a writer is notified if you're reading his or her or their work, it's not happening. So you don't have to worry about them bugging you 5 months later. Hey, I saw that you read my script. What do you think about it? What do you think about it? It just doesn't happen. It's all private. Now, the ones who don't upload their work, the only way to get to read it might be to reach out to them and ask for a copy, and then they do know that you're reading it. But that's on you if you decide to let them know. You don't have to. Okay, so I want to show off. So I'll click on library up here. This is where you see not only the plays you've added to your reading list so you can get back to them at any time, but also the private notes you have written about the plays you are considering. And I'm going to click away from that so I don't reveal Jess's private thoughts about the plays she was considering. Then I want to make sure you know about the activity feed. This is also only for Reader Pro users, subscribers. In the new Play Exchange, you have the ability to watch other users, and that works in your benefit in two different ways. You can watch the writers whose work you're interested in, and I'm actually learning right here and right now that someone has just written a recommendation of a play of mine because Jess is watching me, or unless Jess is watching the person who wrote the recommendation. Um, uh, Anytime a writer you are watching uploads a new script, you get a notification. So if there's somebody whose work you're obsessed with, who you want to follow, who you care about, you get notified right away, and you get to stay abreast with their work. Similarly, if you're with a theater, you might have dramaturgs on staff, but there might also be, or literary staff, but there might also be literary professionals around the country who you care about a lot too. If you watch them, anytime they recommend a new play, you get a notification in your activity feed. So it's a way of sort of crowdsourcing intelligence about the hot new work and the work that people are interested in from throughout the field, which is kind of amazing. You get the benefit of everybody's brain and everybody's excitement and everybody's energy, and it's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to log out of Jess's account, and I'm going to log into an organization subscriber. This is the subscription for the Welders, which is a theater company I co-founded in DC, and I use it for demonstration purposes. You notice that there's no person profile, there's no human being, because this is a profile meant to be used by an organization. You can still do all the search things. There's just no personal profile, but there is a profile for your organization. This is your way of letting folks know in the field in general what kind of theater you're like or what kind of organization you are. You can read a bio of the organization. You can share a bio of your organization, all the metadata about your organization, the points of contact. You can put a picture in. And again, it's sort of a permanent advertisement and a chance to sell yourself. People might not find your website as fast as they find your new Play Exchange profile. We are pretty good at showing up in Google search results, and we often come up first. More importantly, we are now hearing more and more from folks who say to us, the first place I go to learn about anyone connected to the theater at all is the new Play Exchange. And if they're not there, I don't take them as seriously. So make sure that your profile is robust and fully filled out, because you never know who's looking at you when you're looking somewhere else. One cool thing we like to make sure people know is that they can add secondary administrators to a new Play Exchange profile. So in other words, you can share the burden of managing that profile. You can see there have been a few others added here, and I could add Jess Hutchinson as a secondary administrator just by typing her name, and you will see she comes up right there. And if I click the add button, she would immediately be able to administer the profile for this theater company. The next thing I want to show you is the opportunity creation process. So this is, again, it's for theaters, only for theaters. And essentially what we're trying to do is make it easy for you to get your opportunity in front of only the writers who are truly eligible for it. So before the new Play Exchange, if you wanted to do an opportunity, if you wanted to have a reading series of plays by women writers in Kentucky who write about climate change, you really could just put a thing up on your website, or you could put up a post on Facebook and ask for writers. And what would honestly happen to you, speaking as a writer, is I would say to myself, I've been to Kentucky. Not a woman, but my mother was. And this play isn't about climate change, but there's a climate. It has a climate of some kind. and people would find any excuse they can to put their work into your inbox. With the new Play Exchange, you get to decide exactly the eligibility criteria. You can set women identified as a criteria, and then only people who identify as women in the new Play Exchange will see your opportunity. You can say must live in Kentucky. You can say climate change as a subject matter keyword. You can set any eligibility criteria you want. So I'm going to sort of walk you through, and then your opportunity only gets in front of the people for whom it is valid, and it doesn't spam anyone else for whom it is not a valid opportunity. It's like the signal to noise ratio has gone way in the right direction. So a couple things: we don't accept opportunities that have fees of any kind, and we just don't think it's in line with our transparency and our egalitarian and our egalitarianism and our sense of access. You do have the option of using the new Play Exchange tagging system or not. We strongly suggest that you should. It's easier for everyone, but we understand that not everyone wants to. What the tagging system means is that if you use it, when you finish creating your opportunity and our system emails folks to let them know it's there, all they need to do is read your opportunity, and if they agree that their play is right for it, they just click one button and boom, they're done. You have a page on our site on which the number of scripts adds up. When you're done and your opportunity is finished, closed, you can download all those scripts and download a spreadsheet to keep track of them, and then commence assessing which ones are right for you. But if you decline to use that tagging system, you can instead share description of how users can contact you to share their work, which might be just a link to your website or instructions about where to email it or upload it, etc. You do also have the ability to run what we call blind opportunities, which is just a way of saying you can leave off the name of the author, which lets you consider the work without considering the authorship. That's a thing people are interested in doing. So, once you click the continue button here, you enter, basic information about your opportunity. You set it to open. You have the choice to just decide when to close it yourself or to close it on a specific date, or, and this is a cool one, you can say close this opportunity when I get to the first 1,000 scripts. Let's say you can handle 1,000 scripts. Let's say there's no way you could read or consider more than 500, so you'll let it stay open until 500 people have tagged their play for your opportunity. Then you're going to click add eligibility criteria, and what you'll see is exactly the same search criteria you were using when we looked at the search page. You can choose all of the same metadata, and I'm going to go through and I'm just going to select a few to give you a sense. So 90 minutes to 2 hours, and I'm going to say I want drama or comedies, and I'm going to say that center characters of color. You see, if you scroll down here, that means 575 plays will be eligible for my opportunity. And you think to myself, maybe you think to yourself, I've narrowed it too much, actually. I maybe want more plays than that. So all you have to do is eliminate one criteria, and now you go down and suddenly 2,700 plays are eligible for your opportunity. So just make sure you know what you're getting into. If you don't check any criteria, every play in the database will be eligible for your opportunity, and that's probably too much. So watch that number at the bottom, watch what happens, and think twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before you click this share your opportunity button. Because once you do, it immediately emails every playwright who is eligible for your opportunity. And if you've made a mistake, if you've given wrong information, if you've clicked the wrong eligibility criteria, you'll get a lot of folks who are like tearing their hair out trying to figure out why you said in your description that you only want work by women, but you didn't check the woman identifying button So lots of men are getting your opportunity, and non-binary folks are getting, you have to make sure that you've got it all right before you hit share your opportunity, because you can edit it later, but not before you've sent out a ton of emails who are now to people who are now kind of misled. So be careful, be careful. Email me if you need a hand. I'm happy to help. I really am, actually. I'm very happy to help. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to PowerPoint. No, not quite. Share PowerPoint. Because I want to show you what happens when you hit that button. Immediately an email like this goes out that shows people, hey, your play might be eligible for this Unicorn Theater call for new plays. Like, great. And they click this link and it takes them to a page that looks like this, which is what your opportunity looks like once you have finished creating it. You see this entire description down the page, all kinds of information. If you scroll down further, they see the criteria you have set, and then you see the list of plays that have been tagged for it. And if you are the owner of this opportunity, if you're the theater that created it, you'll see one more thing at the very bottom, which says download a spreadsheet of all tagged scripts, so that you can manage the submission process and know whose script you've considered and whose you've moved on, and etc. So that is how the opportunity module works. I just want to give you a few other tips before we sort of move to questions, and also talk to you about some new features that are coming. Pardon me while I drink some water. I've been talking for a long time. Okay, general tips. First of all, add links to your new Play Exchange profile everywhere you can add them. Put it in your email signature. Add it to your social media bios. On your website, link to your new Play Exchange profile. It's where people are going to find out about you. It does a good job of showing basic information about you or your theater at a glance. Use it as shorthand. Use it as a business card. Use it as a way to share yourself and introduce yourself to people. When you send someone a script, like if you're, hey, so-and-so friend at so-and-so theater, I think you really want to know about this script. I know we all do this all the time. We're always trying to, help our friends out and help other theater makers out. Include a link to the script on the new Play Exchange, because it offers them more than you can possibly offer them in a simple email. You can, attach the PDF and then say, here's the new Play Exchange link. They can see the entire production history and development history and learn more about the playwright and the playwright's other work. There's just so much more that's there than you could possibly bother to write into one email. Write recommendations. People have said to us from the very beginning when we were creating the new Play Exchange that there was more good work out there in the field than they could produce themselves. There's always more. So the new Play Exchange is a way to give love to the writers you admire, whose work you admire but can't produce. You've already got a paragraph you've written for your internal coverage about a play. Take the 3 sentences that are the most exciting and drop them into the new Play Exchange. It doesn't take long, and you literally make somebody's day. You really do. You make their day when they get a new Play Exchange recommendation. My day was made a few minutes ago when I saw someone had written about my work. It's kind of fun. And then share those recommendations on social media. Hey, I found this new script and I think it's great. I think you all ought to give it a read too. It's not, tweet about it or Facebook about it. Anything, any place you go to share your love with the world is great. Okay, I want to talk about the next 3 years, which are so exciting, and it's actually less than 3 years because the clock started running in January. So talking more like 2 and change at this point. The first thing we're doing is we are reimagining the new Play Exchange. We have to move it to a new technology platform that will be stable moving forward, and for all those sort of robust things we want to do. And as part of that, we are making it so that a script can have more than one author. Right now, there's just a one-to-one relationship between script and author, but that's not true in the real world. We have devised work, we have musicals, which are book by, lyrics by, music by, we have devising ensembles, we have adapted by, translated by, co-written by, we have all sorts of permutations. So we're enabling that in the next future of the new Play Exchange, and it's very exciting. It's long overdue. We're thrilled to be there. We are adding an entire monologue search module. So imagine if you are an actor and you are looking for a monologue to audition. Let's say you are a Latinx woman who's 22 years old and you want monologues to audition for a drama. Where would you go now to find those monologues? You would probably have to ask your friends or consider a bunch of plays that you read. But if you could do a search in the new Play Exchange and find exactly a set of 50 or 100 possible monologues, choose the ones you like, make your own sort of monologue collection that's always going to be right for you. And then here's the key: buy those monologues directly from the writers who wrote them. When I say buy, we're talking about micro payments. That's our third bullet. We're talking about like $1 a monologue. And it's not about us getting rich. We're a nonprofit organization. It's about enabling a transaction between members of the community that hasn't been possible until now. So we want to help actors do their jobs and prepare for their jobs in a fresh new way. Micropayments are also going to allow us to give a new feature to the dramaturgs of the world, the ability to leverage the work that they do when they're building dramaturgy packets for a project to sell those to other theaters doing productions of the same play. So it will be a way of enabling dramaturgs to work outside their local regions and make sure that their intellectual property gets recompensed in a proper way and shared, and it will help people value dramaturgy in a new and richer way, which is what we're hoping to see happen. We're going to be working with LMDA to define how that system works, so we're kind of excited about that. And then lastly, this is the big one for anyone who's here from an organization. We are adding a new subscription type, Organization Pro. Essentially, this will function sort of like cloud storage of the scripts that you're considering for new work. So if you get submissions or get work emailed to you by agents or get work emailed to you by playwrights, and you have some file server where you keep it, or perhaps you're a small theater and you have an email folder in your Gmail, we want to take all of that and make it more stable, more useful, more solid, give you access no matter where you are, by letting you store the scripts you get in the cloud. When you get a script by a playwright who happens to be in the new Play Exchange, we'll match those up so that you have all the information in one place. If you get coverage of that script, we'll let you store that coverage alongside the script. We'll let you assign a script to a reader to read and provide the coverage for you. And it will all be in one interface where you can have regular access in an ongoing way to all of the work that your literary department has done to consider work sort of throughout history. So there you go. That's the future of Organization Pro. And again, we're going to be working with literary managers at a yet to be defined group of organizations to help us make sure that that works the way theaters really need it to work. So I'm going to stop there and kind of pause and maybe ramble a little bit on this screen so that you have time to take down my email address, which is right there at the top. I'm not afraid to be emailed. I like to be emailed. I like to be helpful. So please use it. Don't be afraid. I'm friendly. And if you have any questions, I am there. So now, speaking of questions, I am going to stop the screen share so I can open this little Q&A box and answer it. Okay. I'm going to answer your questions, and if I don't do a good enough job, you just let me know, okay? Starting with Bray Ann Barrett, who asked, can someone reject or not accept being an administrator or remove themselves? Yes, because here's the thing. Once you're an administrator, you can unadministrate yourself. You have the power. So that one's easy. Bray also asks, are folks notified when randomly selected to be featured for 24 hours? No, sadly, it's not built into the system right now. We do hope to add it to the system soon, or as part of our next development cycle. I'm not sure it's going to get in there, but it's on our to-do list. However, lots of people do notify each other. They get excited to see each other on the homepage, and so they tweet. They take a little screenshot and tweet at their friends. But that's unfortunately all we have now. Oh, hi, Deanie. Deanie Valone asks, do folks know if you're watching them? No, they don't. It does not work like a social network. We did not want to turn this into the sort of rat lever pressing, serotonin affecting experience of a social network. It's really just, you're creating a feed for yourself of information, but there's no reciprocality to it, and there's no you are being watched by list at all. It's all private. Aaron Washburn asks, is it possible to filter plays that are recommended by organizations as opposed to just readers? No, it's not, but this is a perfect example of why I do this, because I learn something new every time. That's a terrific idea. And I will have to, pardon me while I make a note, because once I click this button, it will go away. That's a great suggestion for us to consider for the future. Thank you. Aaron also asked, when setting up an opportunity close date, can you set a range? For example, until X date or until a number of scripts, whichever comes first? No, you can't. That's also kind of cool. It's kind of like, I guess what you're saying is, we can handle up to 500, but if it gets to May 19th and no matter what we have, we got to close anyway. Yeah, no, but another awesome idea. You're clearly the person I need to make my best friend, so thank you. Bray asks, when building an opportunity, can it be city or region specific? It can't be city specific, I don't think. I haven't tried that in a while. I don't think so, but it can be state specific. Can you add multiple states? I'm not sure about that either, but I tell you what, if you have one that you want to create and you want to do it with me, you've got my email address, and we can work on it together. Deanie again asks, considering that dramaturgy packets aren't always entirely original content and often contain articles, text, photos, etc., directly from other author sources, how are you managing the payment copyright challenges there? I don't know yet, because we haven't defined the feature yet. We are going to think about it in concert with the literary managers and dramaturgs who join us at the virtual LMDA conference on June 20th. If you happen to be there and be one of the people attending, love to have you in that conversation to make sure that we do it right. We want to make sure that everyone gets compensated appropriately and that we don't violate anyone's copyright, but that we offer a service that we think the field would love to have. Just want to do it smartly and correctly. Okay, I think I've reached the end. I think I've answered everything. I don't think there's anything else to say. Okay, thank you all for coming. There have been an amazing 23 of you here for this whole time. You're terrific, you're awesome. You have my email address, and please tell your friends. This will be recorded. It'll be out there. I hope people will use it, this recording, to help them make sure they get the most out of this. And we're going to periodically do this again as we get new features so that everyone stays up to date with those features and knows how to keep using this to the best of their ability. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.